Fire Up Connect radio show. So we left with a big question. Tammy asked me, so who do you work with, Martha Razo? Who is your ideal client? So my ideal client will be small and mid-sized companies. I can work with big companies, but I really want to make an impact on small companies and mid-sized companies so they scale up, so they can realize that they can achieve being multi-million-dollar companies, because it's so possible. But we don't realize it, again, because we're just focused on working and making sure that the production gets done. But we don't look at the bigger picture. We're not like the eagles that look outside and really looking in a big picture of seeing, okay, I can achieve 10 million, I can achieve 100 million, because that's actually a goal that I'm putting for my company, how to get from the 10.1 million to 100 million. And we are. But again, it's the 3 points to making that happen: financials, the marketing, and the production. Those numbers have to be aligned along with the strategy.
I love this so much. And thanks for answering that and coming back right to it for the listeners, because I think it's just so important. If you're working with a business, anyone is working with a business, it really helps if that business is letting people know who their ideal client is, because then they can be like, it's me. I'm going to use your services. What really stood out to me about what you just said, Marta, was your level of belief. And I can hear it when you're talking about your own business going to 100 million, because you already believe it. You know it as if it already happened. And therefore, you're going to be on that trajectory. And that is the level of belief that I can tell is what you're also using to help your clients get where they want to be as well. So belief is something that I employ in my own life. And I also, look to work with clients that have high levels of belief, or at least know how to operate in those like higher level frequencies of high level belief to get where they want to be.
So Tammy, I'm hearing that you have a program called the Quantum Power. What is this quantum power?
Yeah, so I have only teased this program so far. It's not officially launched yet, but it's called Quantum Power. This is going to be about training yourself on sacred skills. So what are the sacred skills that we possess as humans that we don't really learn in school, that probably our parents didn't necessarily teach us, that are life skills that we get to have them just because we're born and we're human and we're on the planet. And I'll give you a little secret insight that hasn't been released yet, but it's going to be really focused on time, because we all have the same amount of it to use every day. It's going to be focused on life force energy, because that's another thing where we wake up and we have a certain amount of that we can utilize and figure out how to tap into what can feel like an endless supply of it if we're doing the things that we're lit up by, right? And then also our intuition, which is another thing that we all have. It comes the same way in each of us. It's just about cultivating it and understanding how to lean in and actually hear that voice and allow it to be your best friend. These are our three best assets that we have. And then on top of that, there are other things like belief that we just talked about. If we have those things fully engaged, you will have so much confidence moving forward in whatever you want in your life that there'd be no holding you back. And that's just true. If you look around you at any leaders that are doing the things that they want, the way that they want in life, they are doing those things. They have those things tapped in their life. And I call it quantum power because quantum is, to me, exemplifying the things that we can see the outcomes of them. We can't necessarily explain why. So this is what we're talking about tapping into in order to increase everything that you're working on in your life, including your business. So that drops on June 15th, and it's going to be on a fantastic sale that day only. So keep an eye out if you want it.
Wow, June 15th. So how will people hear about it?
Really on Facebook. If you're connected with me on Facebook, I have several Facebook pages, the Rise for Women in Real Estate page, the Quantum Legacy page. I have a private group that is a free group. If you want free content first, you can join the Quantum Legacy group. And if you're anywhere on any one of those groups or pages, then you'll see it drop there or in my stories.
Amazing. I love the name Quantum. I'm a very, what is it? I love education. I value education. as like one of the top priorities. And when you say quantum, it just made me feel so happy. Like, this is a great name. You know why? Because I'm actually trying to figure out the name for my program. I'm launching a program on August 22. So I already have a date. I just have to figure out the name. So this is an 8-week program, and I have already the outline. It's just a matter of getting a name and really getting students for it. And this one is how to multiply your sales and profits using all the techniques that I learned and used to grow our business from 5 million to 10.1 million, and profit margins from 5% to 35%. That was the big one, from 5 to 35%, because that's hard to increase your profits, especially in a market. The market is the pallet industry. Even if you look at the index and what is a national profit, 5% what was usual, 35% was not usual.
That's incredible. So the course is going to be giving people tools on how to scale.
Yeah, how to scale using numbers. I mean, it's 8 weeks. And this is what's great too, is that at the end, these students who participate in the program, they will get in front of, and you're actually going to be part of this. I haven't even told you. You're going to be one of the investors who hears these people. I'm going to have bank loan officers too. And what is different about this is that they're going to have their portfolio ready to the land officers and the investors. They will have the number. So they would just hand that folder to them, or have that email to them right away. And what the loan person has to do, or the investors, just look at the numbers, and then they decide if they're going to call them back. What is usual is that they present, and then you have to find the investor and have that follow up. Now the investor is going to follow up with them, because they're going to see these numbers and they're going to be so organized. They're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to meet up. Let's invest in your project. Because that is a problem. Have you noticed? Everyone asks for money, but at the end of the day, what are investors looking at? The numbers, at the return of rate, and see if it's worth the investment. So now if you have that in front of them, it's their decision in that moment, or in those few minutes that they analyze it.
Absolutely. And that's what I've heard too from a lot of VC venture capital people, is that they're looking at the business numbers and the team. Like, who's the person that they're going to be betting on, right? who's this person that's asking for investment. And most of the time I think that really like stems from, do I believe in myself? Do I want to invest in myself? And then can I have that show up in those moments, right? That's so cool that you're pulling this together in a program. And I can't wait to hear what you call it too.
Yeah. Have you heard the shark show, The Sharks? Have you seen that one of the reasons the sharks reject the people who are presenting is when they ask them about their numbers? So what's the return of rate? Or when they ask them, so how much are you making and what are your profits? Everyone gets stuck when it comes to the number questions. Everyone's excited. Everyone knows what they're pitching. But when it comes to the numbers, it's like they get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they have that element, the investors will be, hey, here you go. Let's talk. Let's sit down. And when do you want your check? That's what I ideally want my students to be able to have, is know their numbers so good that in front of the sharks, they will give them the check in front and be like, okay, here's your 100,000 and this is the percentage that I want.
That's beautiful. I love this vision that you have. And I mean, goodness, August, it's going to be here any minute.
I know.
So how do people sign up for that?
Right now, I'm just having word of mouth and putting it up, and I'm just asking people, hey, send me a message. So people can actually call me at 312-523-5561. Once again, that's 312-523-5561. Or they can look at my website, solixservices.com, and they can just go to the contact us and email me. How about you, Tammy? I forgot to ask this. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, probably the easiest way would be my website, tammyscarlett.com, TammyScarlett, 2 M's and 2 T's, and Tammy with a Y. Or on Facebook, which I'm Facebook.com/Tammy M Scarlett. And then all my pages you can find from there.
It's easy to find Tammy. Make sure you visit her on LinkedIn or Facebook. You can also find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Martha, Martha, Razo, Razo. So I have one question before we go into our next commercial, and I might have to stop you on this. But I see that you have a background in psychology and anthropology. Am I correct?
Yes.
So how does this change your perspective about business? I bet you have a whole different mindset than the traditional business person.
Yeah, thank you for noticing. I think I do. Yeah, my undergrad was a double major in business and psychology. And I really felt even back then when I had only done a little bit of business that the psychology really let me understand the way the mind works in general and be able to understand why these business templates worked the way that they do. So I could see some similarities and like, oh, you can take a business template like this and you can apply it to pretty much anything, whether it's a nonprofit or retail or banking or whatever kind of industry, higher education, whatever, and find success in that because the human mind works the way that it does, and therefore these systems are going to work the way that they do. And my anthropological studies took that many layers deeper, because it really, anthropology is the study of man, the history of man. Like, how do we see each other, man being humankind? How do we see each other? How do we make decisions about each other based on our perceptions? And that I find to be very fascinating. I mean, we see a lot of sad things about that in the world today, with different prejudices and things that society and culture are working through, healing from old wounds, learning how to be better as humanity. And it also, this just shows up time and time again in the patterns of humanity. It shows up in patterns of business. And if we want to make the most of who we are while we're here on the planet, then we can learn from those lessons, show up with our belief, being full, being lit up, doing the things that we're here to do on the planet, that we know that we're here to do, and then make that a different pattern moving forward for the betterment of everyone.
Wow. That is amazing. When I saw your bio, I'm like, she has a whole different point of view in business. That is what makes you such a leader in what you are working on. So guys, right now we're going to go on a short commercial. We're going to hear more about Tammy on the next one. I'm going to ask her, so what words of wisdom can she let all of our listeners know to avoid mistakes in financial aspects in their business, and also avoid mistakes in business and running their business? So stay tuned. This is your host, Martha Razo, at the Fire Up Connect radio show.